Hello and welcome to Giant Mess, a super sloppy sports and entertainment podcast that's hosted by a giant mess. That's me, the real cinch, Neal Lynch. I'm a former fourth-string college quarterback and mediocre middle relief pitcher who earned himself a film and media studies degree. And now I'm a single dad who loves to talk Giants football, Mets baseball, movies, TV, and comedy. Like to mix in some life lessons and funny stories along the way. On today's episode, we're going to be talking about Andor Season 2. So without further ado, let's get it out of the Andor Season 2. Powerful, emotionally resonant conclusion to Cassian Andor's story cements its place as one of the best and most critically acclaimed Star Wars projects of the Disney era. Ambitiously covers 4 years and 12 episodes, bridging the gap between Season 1 and the events of Rogue One. And I don't think I've ever been more confused in a TV show as I have with Andor Season 2. It was just like, who's on what side? Like, I thought it was just rebels and Empire. Like, what? There feels like there's a lot of conflict and turmoil on the rebellion side of things. The first 3 episodes kind of start off with a slower, more deliberate pace to establish the works. Show remains deeply character-driven. Episode 1, the time jumps, you thought the time jump was crazy in Last of Us. This one is just like, we're in the thick of it, and it feels like things aren't quite resolved, and it's just like 4 years later, and you're like, wait, what? So, like, nothing happened in 4 years? That was throwing me off big time. I was like, wow, they just keep doing time jumps, huh? So 1 year later, episode 1, 1 year after the Ferrex, it was almost like a running gag. I remember it was like almost every other episode, it's like 1 year later. And it's just like, wait, I actually paused it at one point and had to like rewind and be like, and then go back to like what the episode name is and the episode description. I'm like, no, this is a new episode. This is a different episode, but they keep doing the 1 year later. And you're like, again, 1 year later? So 1 year after the Ferrex uprising, Cassian impersonates Imperial test pilot in order to steal a prototype of a new Imperial ship, the TIE Avenger, delivering it to a jungle moon ambushed by a rogue band of squabbling guerrillas, the Maya Pei Brigade. Boy, could have done without that whole sequence and scene and plot line. It just felt unnecessary. It was like, okay, I don't know if this is serving as like comedic relief, comic relief. I don't know what this is serving. I don't know why this is included. This just feels like filler. It feels like they could have easily cut this and it would have been fine. It never really felt like Cassian was in danger or his life was threatened. And I don't know. It's just, ultimately it was just like, this, okay, is this to fill time? On the agricultural planet of Mina Rao, Bix Brassa, Wilmon, and B2 Emo. There were times where in high school, I had B2 Emo. Fear detection by the Empire while in the undocumented employ of a local farmer. Bix suffers from PTSD caused by Gorst's torture. On Chandrila, Mon Mothma prepares for her daughter's arranged marriage, but is informed by Tay Kalma that his financial investments have turned sour. Orson Krennic oversees a secret meeting of Imperial officers who plan to use force to obtain the rare mineral resources of the planet Gorman, an initiative to which Dedra is reluctantly assigned. Dedra suggests that the mission's anti-Gorman propaganda be accompanied by the provocation of a weak insurgency to discredit. The tension among the Maya Pei insurgents reaches a boiling point, and they kill several of their own as Cassian is taken hostage. Ben Mendelsohn, dude. Is so good. And the dude that they got to play your Partagaz, Anton Lesser, also very good. Basically, like most of the Empire, the like strategy think tank people in the Empire, they're all like top notch. On Chandrila, Mon Mothma prepares for her daughter Leia's. We already said that. Idiot. So that was a 7.9 out of 10 on that episode. That's the opener, episode 1. Episode 2 was Sangranatima. On the Jungle Moon, Cassian is held prisoner when the Mayape Brigade splits into two territorial factions at a stalemate. And again, it's just, I was not interested in that at all. On Mina Rao, the Imperial officers audit the workers' papers. Bix, Brasso, and Wilmon arrange to move to a different part of the planet to avoid discovery. On Coruscant, Dedra and Cyril, now a couple living together, prepare for a social event they've been putting off. Mothma, at her daughter's wedding, discusses the possibility of Tay's defection with Luthen, who says they should attempt to ascertain Tay's price for keeping silent about the rebellion. Again, that whole exchange and interaction between Mothma and Luthen was hard to follow. It was like trying to decode a secret language, like in the way that they were speaking. It was just like, I don't know what's going on here. I was so confused. It's like, yeah, this guy Tay is drinking. He's getting his drink on. And it's like, everyone's like, oh, you better get a hold of your boy, to Mothma. But I wasn't fully grasping like the situation and the consequences and ramifications of like what he was doing and what he was hinting at and implying. It just didn't connect for me. Dedra threatens Edie Karn, who, my God, they got like the perfect, not doting mother, but just like the most, annoying form of motherhood. And Dedra, I mean, like the casting in this show, Dedra, the actress that plays her, is like perfect. Just her look. And we haven't really seen a lot of that. Like, I bet Dedra and Cyril are into some like serious shit. I bet they're into like some cool stuff, man. I have a feeling that they like, there's like whips and chains involved there. There has to be. There's definitely like a little femdom submission dominance situation, BDSM going on in that household. Cassian slips away from his captors as their conflict escalates and flees in the stolen TIE Avenger. 7.5 out of 10 for that one. Episode 3, Harvest. Cassian makes contact with Clea and is able to ascertain the danger his friends are in on Mina Rao. Dedra and Cyril host Cyril's mother, Edie, for dinner, during which Edie repeatedly belittles Cyril, prompting Dedra to establish firm boundaries with her. Solid move. On Chandrila, ladies, Mon Mothma's daughter's arranged marriage to Stekken Skolden takes place, followed by a lavish reception. I love, like, that was a pretty sick reception. That was a pretty awesome reception. Like, got great. Whoever the DJ was, I don't think it was a band. I think it was a DJ. He was locked in. He had it going. He had the dance floor flowing. Mon Mothma was feeling it. She was in her feels, and she was letting loose, and it was awesome. Again, another great casting job. Like, I don't think you could have asked for a better actress or performance there. As the Ferrix fugitives prepare to leave Mina Rao, like, how is that not the #1 trending song on Spotify, dude? That was a banger. And I was like, it's good to know that people still like to party like that in the future. If it is the future. Is it the future, or is it just a galaxy far, far away? As the Ferrix fugitives prepare to leave Mina Rao, Imperial Officer Lieutenant Kroll sexually assaults Bix, but she kills him in a violent struggle. In the ensuing skirmish, Brasso is killed by a stormtrooper. Cassian arrives in the TIE Avenger and dispatches the Imperial troops. Bix and Wilmon flee in the TIE Avenger with Cassian all devastated by Brasso's death. Yeah, it was a tough one. Brasso, he just seemed like an everyman. Guy's guy, but beloved by women, children, across the board. Just a solid dude, Like, he's just like kind of a gentle giant type of dude who, people can tease and joke with and razz, and like sometimes he'll like give it back, but like he just like that was a tough L. Having been unable to come up with a price to ensure Tay's silence, Luthen informs Mothma that he has decided to have him killed. Mon, distressed, engulfs herself in drinking and dancing as Vel watches Tay get taken away by Cinta. And then that's where we see Tay in the back of the car driven by Cinta. And it's like, it's been nice knowing you, dude. I hope you enjoyed the drinks. I didn't get the sense that Tay was going to like talk and like break his silence. I don't know. I guess I would need to pay closer attention, or I was not able to like break down and translate what he was giving me, because that was I don't know. But that episode got an 8.5 out of 10, and I agree. And that's so perfect. Like you didn't have to show it happen, like them taking out Tay. It was just like we're kind of hinting at it, we're mentioning it, we're veiled, threats and and that kind of cloak and dagger type speak that you hear a lot, where it's just like making references and not explicitly saying what you're going to do, and then seeing the not the car, hover car, the ship fly off, and seeing Cinta in the driver's seat, and it's just like, sound the trumpets, dude, sound the horns. 21 gun salute, my man. 8.5 out of 10. I wholeheartedly agree. I thought that was a great episode, because we get to see Mon Mothma kind of like lose herself a little bit. Cue Eminem, great walk up, walk out song, and Mon Mothma was using it to fucking tear up the dance floor. She's infected by the sound, I mean, is the beat killing her? Episode 4. Ever been to Gorman? No, but I hear it's great, especially this time of year. 1 year after the incident on Mina Rao, Cassian and Bix have become active operators for Luthen and hide out in Coruscant. Bix is still beset by nightmares. I can only imagine. It is interesting, though. It's like anyone with working eyesight and vision can see that Bix is fucked. Just completely gone and lost on whatever the hell she's taking. And Cassian is just like, I don't want to say he's overlooking it, but it's also like, dude, maybe step it up a little bit when it comes to Bix. You're kind of handling, I don't know. I just feel like if I were in that position, seeing the woman I love just like in shambles, dude, like not even close to being okay at all. And I understand he's asking her questions. And yeah, I guess there were points where he's getting frustrated and angry with her because, he consents and feels like she's not being herself. But you also don't want to, I get it. You also don't want to push it, right? You don't want to push her over the edge and make her feel bad. But at the same time, it's like, this is slippery slope. On Gorman, the Empire begins to construct an armory. Cyril, with Dedra and Partagaz's backing, takes up a position in Palmo, the Gorman capital, infiltrates the Gorman front, local rebel group, feigning sympathy to their cause. Upon learning from Jung that Dedra is secretly stationed on the planet, Luthen sends Cassian to assess the rebels. Willman is tasked with teaching Saw Gerrera's Lieutenant Pluty how to configure a machine that extracts radonium, a fuel source for the Empire's starships that they plan to steal. Mothma successfully attempts to rally support to kill the renewable bill, giving broad powers to ISB. Boy, I tell you, Saw Gerrera, Forrest Whitaker, dude. Forrest Whitaker is unhinged in this character role. Just like, they were just like, you have license to do whatever the fuck you want in the show. We're just going to let you run with it. You take it wherever you need to go, my man. And Forrest was like, gladly, I will. What the dude? Oh, okay. You know what? Just go for it. And I guess it makes sense because he, you see in a later episode, he's I don't know, inhaling or huffing the radonium, I think, the fuel source. And so it's like, okay, well, that makes more sense. That explains why he's just like a wild card and it's just eccentric as fuck because he's been huffing this stuff. And then he gets Wilmon hooked on it as well. So now Wilmon's probably going to turn into like Saw 2.0. But my God, dude. I mean, you know, it's good to have unique characters like that. But man, he is towing the line, man. He is pushing it to the limit. He's taking it to the edge for sure. So the episode was a 7.8 out of 10. Episode 5, I Have Friends Everywhere, which I am going to start saying that at social functions to anyone, to random strangers, to everyone. I'm just going to go up and be like, I have friends everywhere and see how they respond. I will get arrested. I know that. But I think I might make some friends in the process because it's like, that just feels like that's how you're amongst Star Wars fans. Which I have a buddy, my big brother in the fraternity I went to college with, who I feel like is diehard Star Wars. And I said, hey, have you been watching Andor season 2? He's like, no, I have not watched season 2. I don't even think he watched season 1. And my brother-in-law is another guy that's like, I mean, literally was going to name his son Stormtrooper. Named his dog Obi. Named his cat Leia. Like, big Star Wars guy can't watch Andor. So it's very interesting that there's like, I don't want to say two sects or groups, but two factions. But it's like you have the Andor crew who's much more into the political espionage side of things, and then you have probably the other side who's more into like, let's see some cool battles, let's just see your traditional good versus evil, let's not just see all this under the radar underground type stuff. I Have Friends Everywhere, episode 5. Clea learns that Skolden intends to audit his antiquity collection, having discovered a forgery, thus threatening to expose a bug she planted in the gallery, and that forces her into action to extract it, even though Luthen was like, it's too risky. You can't risk it for the biscuit on this one. And Clea's like, I do what I want. Cassian connects with the Gorman rebels and learns that they plan to intercept a weapons shipment, but judges them to be too inexperienced and shoots down the plan, much to their frustration. Cyril reports back to Coruscant with news of the heist, with Partagaz and Dedra agreeing to allow it to pan out to stir up the rebels. Saw kills Pluty after learning he's a traitor and has Woman work the extractor on the heist in his place. 8.2 out of 10 on this one. I Have Friends Everywhere. Yeah, I really like this episode. Cassian. He's just like so frustrated all the time, dude. He's just frustrated by everything. He just doesn't like everything that's happening. He's just like pissed off at Luthen, pissed off at the Empire. He's pissed off at the rebels. He's pissed off. It's just like, what makes this guy happy? Like, he's just like, is nothing gonna satiate the beast? My word. Episode 6, What a Festive Evening. Cassian insists to Luthen that Gorman's rebels are unprepared, resentful that Luthen secretly made contact with Bix to persuade her to return to action. Luthen chastises Cassian for short-sighted vision, sends Vel and Cinta to help the rebels pull off the heist. Vel and Cinta fully reconcile, which I don't even remember. Like, this is part of the problem with, taking 2+ years between seasons, or 2 years between seasons. I just forgot, and then I didn't rewatch it. I guess it's the point. They want you to rewatch season 1 in preparation for season 2, and I skipped it. I ended up doing the recap, so I don't fully remember the Vel and Cinta storyline, but I guess they fully reconcile, rekindle the romance. Heist is successful, but of course, one of the fighters, the rebels, disobeyed Vel's orders and brought a blaster, and that ends up coming into play later when it goes off and accidentally kills Cinta. Vel is devastated. At Skolden's party, investiture party, first time I've seen that word, and I'm an educated man. Krennic and Mothma debate the ethics of war while Clea manages to extract her bug using Jung as a distraction. that scene, my God. Clea and Jung just like standing at the table. Like if anyone from the rest of the party that, Luthen was in, just like takes a second to look at two people standing on opposite sides of a table looking very distressed where their hands are underneath the table. Like anyone with a brain would have been like, what the fuck's going on over there? Like what's happening over there? Like, can we just get some intel on what is going on over there? I feel for Jung so bad. Lonnie, dude. Ugh. Heartbreaking. Bix breaks into Gorst's new office and uses his own torture device on him before leaving with Cassian, who remotely blows up the facility. Booyah! Hell yeah. Great payoff to a very long... See, this is where it's tricky because it's like it's been going on for episodes and episodes, but it's actually years and years that Bix has been suffering with this. And will this give her closure? Who knows? I don't... Maybe a little bit, but I don't... That was cool to see that she got her revenge. Felt maybe a little too quick. Maybe they could have drawn out a little bit more, but at least she gets some kind of come up. Gets to have some kind of retribution for what happened to her with Gorst. 8.7 out of 10. What a festive evening. I mean that. Like I admit the scene where they're at the investiture party, like, yeah, very tense. You got a great, like, Krennic and Mothma going toe-to-toe. That was great. And then, Jung feeling the pressure while Clea is trying to find this thing, ultimately getting it. So 8.7 out of 10. I mean, again, and everyone's been pointing this out, kind of a slow start, but then a really strong finish. Episode 7, Messenger. 1 year later. I think this was the one where the title card came up 1 year later, and I was like, wait a minute, did I go back to the beginning of the season? Because I've done that before and not realized it. 1 year later, the rebels have begun coordinating military options on Yavin 4, where Cassian and Bix now live. Wilman tells them that Dedra is on Gorman, whose rebel activities have been portrayed by state-sponsored media as terrorism instigated by outside agitators, encourages Cassian to help assassinate her. Despite his concerns over the mission being from Luthen, Cassian agrees, travels with Wilman to Gorman. Bix is told by a force healer that Cassian will be vital to the rebellion. That was an interesting scene too. It's like this force healer who we have never seen before comes up, touches Cassian on the shoulder, and does like the whole Christopher Walken thing. I never actually watched that movie, but it's like wherever he touches someone, he can see their future. What is it called? I forget, but they did a parody of it on SNL when Christopher Walken was hosting. It was pretty funny, where he would just do like, he would touch someone and he'd like, his body would shake and his eyes would open, and you'd think like, oh my God, he's gonna give some kind of like really crazy prediction for the future, and it was like, you're gonna wake up tomorrow and brush your teeth. The guy's like, I do that every morning. What are you talking about? That's what that scene reminded me of. On Gorman, Dedra finds a position temporarily supplanted by Captain Kaido, sent by Partagaz to oversee the Imperial subjugation of the planet, while Cyril begins to doubt Dedra's line on outside agitators, given his interaction with Boldest. 8.4 out of 10 in this one. Yeah, I mean, Captain Kaido. Episode 8, Who Are You? Kaido instigates a protest in Palmo's Central Square while closing off the available exits and intentionally deploys inexperienced riot police into the volatile crowd. I mean, this is like next level strategy that I'm kind of jealous. I'm like kind of envious of these guys playing chess when everyone else is playing checkers. Like the kind of like knowing that if I put this into action, this will happen. Like just the chain reaction, the domino effect that these people have planned out. And obviously, I think there's a correlation between what's going on in this show and real life events. Like I think that obviously, I think the writers have taken a lot of inspiration, if you can call it that, from, or borrowing a lot from real life, where it's like, this is, I know this is fiction, but this is happening Like you just know you're watching. You're like, this is happening somewhere in the world right now. And that's what makes this particular series so amazing and awesome. Is like it's you're basically watching like something that could very well happen, even though it's got this fantastical lens and bent and angle of like a galaxy far, far away. It's like, well, actually, this feels like this could be happening. Name a place right now. Like instigating a protest, closing off exits, intentionally deploying. I mean, like, unbelievable. Arriving in the square alongside the protesters, Cyril realizes his role is enabling the Empire's manipulative actions and violently confronts Dedra in her office, forcing her to tell him the truth about the Empire's intentions on Gorman before storming out. Yeah, he gives her a little chokehold on this one. Ooh, Cyril, bad boy. And as it's happening, I'm like, these two, this is probably getting the fires going. This is probably stoking the fires a little bit. This is probably lighting the fuse for like the sexual tension, because this is happening in the bedroom at some, like, going back to like the BDSM, the whips into chains. Like there's definitely some choke play. Is that what it's called? Like there's some choke play going on. And so I think that's Dedra might have been like a little scared, but also a little turned on and like, whoa, like, okay, oh my God, but also, oh my God. I didn't know you could do that. Following a directive from Partagaz, Dedra reluctantly orders an Imperial sniper to open fire on a member of the riot police unit, triggering a shootout between the rebels and the Imperial forces. I mean, it's just like literally chess. Like, I'm gonna move this guy here. That's gonna cause this. We'll do this. Listen, I know the Empire's evil. But like to see, I am a little bit like Hannibal from A-Team. I love it when a plan comes together. Like the idea that a plan has like saying, I'm going to do this, it's going to do this, then this will happen, we have this covered, and it all goes according to plan. It's got to feel good. Following a directive from Partagaz, Dedra reluctantly orders an Imperial sniper to open fire on a member of the riot police unit, triggering a shootout between the rebels and the Imperial forces. Protesters attempt to flee, but are massacred by blaster fire or the KX security droids. Amidst the chaos, the dazed Cyril wanders the square as Cassian seeks to assassinate Dedra through her office window. The two fight and Cyril gains the upper hand, but hesitates to shoot Andor before being fatally shot by Caro Rylans, the Gorman rebel leader. The Resistance manages to incapacitate a KX Enforcer droid by ramming it with an armored transport. Cassian escapes Gorman with the droid, while Woman stays to aid his Gorman girlfriend, Drina, in broadcasting the news to the galaxy. In the aftermath, Dedra and Edie separately confront their losses as Imperial news outlets place blame on outside agitators. 9.7 out of 10. Not fucking around. God damn, what a great episode. I mean, I can't imagine from a production standpoint being able to film a scene like that where it's just chaos. Like there's just people running everywhere and you have to keep tabs on that and keep track of that to make sure there's continuity. But they really captured it. I mean, like the whole boots, I mean, they have both like the boots on the ground perspective where you have people, you're amongst the crowd, you're in the crowd, but then you have like the luxury suite view, the bird's eye, like here are the puppet masters behind the scenes looking down and seeing how everything's going on. The KX security droids, it's funny, like they don't, at first blush, they don't look intimidating, they don't look like, oh snap, these fuckers are gonna fuck shit up, and then you see them in action, you're like, oh, okay, these are like very deadly weapons and tools. But it's like there's not an immediate like intimidation factor, until, and I think they play into that where it's like initially you see it and you're like, oh, and then you see them like approach a human and you see that they're like twice their size, and they can just fling them across the stratosphere. Oh boy. So 9.7 out of 10. I mean, I don't know that you get a better 1, 2, 3 punch in, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. The last 5 episodes of this season were all close to being 10 out of 10. That's insane. Episode 6 wasn't far off. So they had episode 6, 8.7 out of 10, episode 7, 8.4 out of 10, and you have episode 8, 9.7, episode 9, 9.7, episode 10, 9.6, episode 11, 9.4, episode 12, 9.5. That has to be, it's got to be a record, right? Like 5 straight episodes where you're almost 10 out of 10. It's safe to say that they have to get this Tony Gilroy guy, the creator, involved. Him and Jon Favreau have got, and maybe they're already working together, but they have, it's like that has to be mandatory. Like we got to get the two of you together in a room and figure this out, because like you are the future of this IP. So episode 9, Welcome to the Rebellion. In the aftermath of the Gorman Massacre, Empire frames the incident as insurrection. Mothma writes up a Senate speech against the Emperor, prepares to flee to Yavin 4. Senator Bail Organa, which I almost read as Bill Organa. I was like, hey, Bill. My buddies call me Bill. My dad calls me Bail. My buddies call me Bill. Bail Organa chooses to stay behind to aid the rebellion in secret. Luthen learns from Jung that Bail's security team's compromise, assigns Cassian to extract Mothma from Coruscant. Meanwhile, Luthen clashes with Mothma over the depth of his subterfuge within the rebellion, and his choice to have Tay killed. With Organa's help, Mothma takes the floor of the Senate and powerfully condemns Emperor Palpatine and the genocidal Emperor's manipulation of the truth. Which it is kind of wild that while that's all going on, the Empire has all this vast power. And I guess that was a common theme or expression during everything was, where those in power have it harder than those without power. Like the trying to control people is harder than not trying to control people. That was like the main takeaway, was like the Empire has it pretty rough. So the fact that they have all this power, but still when Mothma's talking in the Senate and is basically shitting on the Emperor and is like, this is really what's going on. Here's the lowdown. And they could not shut off the transmission and could not figure out how to shut it down. It's like, oh boy. I guess it is a house of cards, right? Cassian successfully convinces Mothma to leave with him, terminating the spy in Organa's rival security team and Mothma's ISB planet driver, Cloris. Cassian brings Mothma to the safe house in Coruscant, where she publicly positions herself for the rebellion. Cassian accompanies the injured Wilman back to Yavin 4. Disturbed by recent events, Cassian resolves to leave and begin a new life with Bix, but Bix departs during the night, leaving Cassian a message that implores him to stay and help the rebellion and promises that she will find him again once it succeeds. Later, technicians were programmed K2SO, the stolen KX droid, to serve the rebellion. That was a great scene, too, where it's like, and it's been a while since I've watched Rogue One, and I probably should have rewatched it. And I didn't, but now I can do the whole chronological spiel where it's like season 1, season 2, Rogue One. But to see that droid turn into the droid that we know and love from Rogue One was a pretty cool transition. Bix coming to the realization that she's just, as long as she's in Cassian's life, he's gonna want to be with her and not do the rebellion. Which is, I'm gonna make a really shitty analogy here. It's kind of like me and my girlfriend freshman year in college. It was like, as long as we're together, I'm gonna want to make out and not go to school. Not go to classes. I'm just gonna want to make out with you and do the sexy time. I don't want to do anything else. sense. I don't want to go to practice. I don't want to go to class. This is awesome. And I just want to do this. So I think she realized that. And she was like, you know what? You have so much potential and promise that this is for the greater good. And man, she was right. Because look at how much I've done for the rebellion. 9.7 out of 10. Another banger. Yeah. It is crazy, though, that like in Coruscant, I think it was in Coruscant, a beautiful shot of the architecture and just how like it's gleaming and shiny. And you see Cassian with Mothma, and he's just like, oh, are you Cloris? And just shoots him in broad daylight. And it's just like people go running and that's it. It's like, I don't know, I would feel like Coruscant would be a place where it's just heavily guarded. Like there's a heavy authority presence everywhere. But that also felt a little too easy. Like, what, you're just gonna shoot him and then okay. Cool. Episode 10, Make It Stop. 1 year later, 1 year after the events of Gorman, Lonnie reports to Luthen that the Empire is building a secret weapon that Dedra has likely uncovered their identities. Though Luthen initially promises Lonnie and his family safe passage from Coruscant, he kills Lonnie to ensure his silence. Spoiler alert. Holy shit, man. That really was such a gut punch. The guy deserved better. I think the guy deserved better. Everyone's kind of taken... I think a lot of people are taking the approach where it's the only logical solution. It was the only rational step that Luthen could take to ensure blah, 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 blah. I don't know, man. I feel like the heat's on. The heat's been turned up. I get it, but he wants to cut all loose ends. I get it, but damn. I mean, look at what this guy has provided you. And there has never, as far as I can remember, there's never been an instance where it's like he's giving you bad intel or bad information. It's like he's risking his goddamn life, and then he ends up getting killed by the people he's helping. Not even by, it's one thing to get caught and like you're fried by the Empire, but like to give Luthen like this humongous piece of information and then to die for it. And then Luthen's always like, well, it's for the greater good. It's for the rebellion. I would have done. I would hope that someone would do the same thing to me or something like that. We're all making sacrifices. That was the other thing about Luthen that I kind of got a kick out of, and I laughed a lot. Was like he was doing the whole Bruce Wayne Batman voice change thing, where it's like as Luthen, he's like, "Hello, Senator. Oh my goodness, it's so great to have you here. This is it truly is." And then when he's, when he doesn't have that friggin' ridiculous wig on, and it's actually him, he's like, we're all making sacrifices. It was almost like a little bit of the Emperor Palpatine-ish type vibe that we're getting from Luthen. Like, and I my guess is that maybe that was intentional. It was like, well, Luthen is kind of this sketchy dude where you don't really know where his allegiances are. It's like, yes, he wants to be part of the rebellion, but there's something there that indicates that there's something a little bit maybe more sinister. I don't know. Ah, yes, this is our finest piece. This is an artifact from Coruscant. We're all making sacrifices. I just always find that so funny. As Luthen covers up his tracks by destroying the communication system in his shop, Dedra confronts him. He attempts suicide to avoid interrogation, but is taken alive to a hospital while Clea watches from afar. You know what? This is what I'm. The future's scary. I get it. AI is taking over the world. The one thing about the future that I'm kind of pretty pumped about and amped is like the kind of medical devices that I've seen in Star Wars. Like it just feels like, man, they make it look so attainable in my lifetime. Like that's got to happen, right? By the time I'm old enough to need it, we'll have it, hopefully. Like that's my hope. Is like, just pop him. He slit his throat. Just pop him in the old tube, the chamber with the healing and the whatnot. Yeah, it happened in to a certain extent in Elysium. I mean, we saw it in the Book of Boba Fett, right? Where it's like you just take the bath, dude. Just take a pop in the bath, get healed up. That's so cool. I want it. Flashbacks reveal that Luthen is a former Imperial sergeant who defected after his unit massacred Clea's hometown, found Clea hiding in the ship, informally adopts her, and they begin selling antiques while waging resistance against the Empire. In the present, Dedra is arrested for overreach, and Clea infiltrates the hospital and disconnects Luthen's life support system. Ooh. That was another scene. I mean, another great episode, 9.6 out of 10. Here comes nitpicky Neal. Oh my God. But the idea that Clea can dress up like a nurse, go to a restricted floor, and be able to get through all those layers of security and protection, it was a little hard to believe. A little bit. I guess, the flashbacks then explain a lot about that relationship and that dynamic between Clea and Luthen, where it's like she does view him as a father, and a lot of the spats and when they go head to head and have their conflicts in prior episodes, you do get that kind of like father-daughter kind of vibe to it, but it's like to also know that he's responsible for murdering all your family. It's like, ooh, it's a tough one, because the way that we're introduced to them, you definitely think it's the boss direct report situation, like supervisor underling type dynamic relationship. But then you see her push back a lot and give him a lot of sass, and you're like, well, this kind of falls outside that parameter. In the present, Dedra is arrested for overreach. Clea infiltrates. Yeah, we already went over that. 9.6 out of 10. Episode 11, Who Else Knows? Dedra is interrogated by Krennic, who admonishes her for allowing the Death Star plans to be leaked from her database and for confronting Luthen without sufficient backup. The investigation into Dedra is assigned to her former assistant, Hirt, who identifies Clea from security footage. Partagaz declares Clea a public health concern to expedite her arrest. Again, we're talking... Party wants to learn... I mean, I guess that's what public relations is, right? It's just how can we spin this or position this or frame this or present this to get the public on our side, right? Even thinking back to episode 1 where they have those two douchers who were like, we'll come up with a propaganda campaign. And they basically went into detail about how they can manipulate people. And you can see Dedra's this is amateur hour over here. So I'm enticed by it a little bit, the whole misinformation of things. But I'm also, it makes me feel icky. So it's can I admire and respect someone for having that level of sophistication to misinformation? I don't condone it. I don't support it. It's still very interesting. The lengths and the cleverness. Cleverness? No. In the Coruscant safe house. Also that to me, Partagaz declares Clea a public health concern, expedite her arrest. It's also scary to think that could happen to literally anyone. You could just get picked out of a crowd, and someone who has the power, authority, control, whatever, and the means could be like, yeah, this person right here has is carrying a deadly virus. Oof. It is how quickly life can turn on a dime and complete 180 on you. If someone wanted to. Someone in a position of power could just come down and be like, yeah, this guy, yeah, look at all this child porn on his computer. Look at, we've made connections and affiliations with the Taliban. And it's, Yeah, I don't want to be the tinfoil hat guy, but Jesus, don't believe everything you hear and see on the old boob tube. Okay? Or on the interwebs. In the Coruscant safe house, Clea sends Wilma a distress signal, prompting him to send Cassian, Melshi, and K2SO there to retrieve Luthen, alienating the group further from Yavin 4 leadership. Dedra gives Kurt insight into Luthen's communications technologies from her cell, enabling his team to track Clea's signal to the safe house where they arrive close behind Cassian and Melshi. Clea passes on Luthen's crucial intelligence, but asks to stay behind given the distrust of Luthen among the rebels on Yavin 4. Understandable. As Hirt's team closes in, K2SO breaks into the building in pursuit. 9.4 out of 10. Hell yeah, dude. Yeah, I got a little amped, got a little hype when that happened, when I saw K2SO come in, and it's like, oh, yeah, beast mode activated. Like, we're about to see some shit right here. That's how you end an episode, but not be at the season finale. Like Last of Us, take some notes here, dude. That's how that should be. Yeah, like it shouldn't be, hey, I'm gonna look out over a friggin' football stadium full of supplies. I don't know, man. How is that like? That's so frustrating. Tangent. So yeah, I was muy excited about the finale, which was episode 12. Jedha, Kyber, Urso. K2SO defeats Hirt and his team, but Clea is wounded. Cassian, Melshi, and K2SO take her back to Yavin 4, where they are grounded by Organa for their disobedience. Whatever, Dad. Just trying to save the galaxy. You wouldn't get it. Goddamn K2SO. It is reminiscent of the Jedi Wookiee from Acolyte. Acolyte, again, a series that was just torn to shreds by fans, but like, and that's what made it so disappointing, was that we didn't get more of that friggin' Jedi Wookiee, dude. Ugh. You teased us. You gave us just a little taste, and they took it away from us. Ugh. But K2SO, we got the full enchilada, my guy. Full 7-course meal. One of the best scenes in Star Wars history. Yeah. I know it sounds like I'm exaggerating, but like I think I'm right. Much of the rebel leadership, including Organa, are scornful of Luthen and question the veracity of his new intelligence, but Mothma is willing to hear Clea out. Yeah, I mean, dude, part of me was like, why would they be... When that scene was happening, when they're all sitting around that round table, and Cassian and everyone's like trying to tell him, like, hey, why the fuck would we make this up? Why would we say there's a Death Star? Like, what do we gain from that? And from the other point of view, if you're Mothma, Organa, whatever, you're hearing it, you're like, all right, well, we have been swimming in like misinformation, disinformation, distractions, obstacles, like lying, dishonesty, all that stuff. So why would we believe this? But it's like the lengths that this fucking guy has gone to. But I guess that's the world of espionage and politics. It's like you don't know who to trust, you don't know who to believe. Look at the lengths that someone goes to. You look at Lonnie Jung, being embedded in that war room, in that think tank, having all that intel. I don't know. I still think it's like all because of, I guess, Luthen's track record, right? It's like he offed Lonnie Jung, he offed Tay. Like he has a history of doing whatever it takes. But is he covering his tracks? Is he trying to play both sides? Yeah. Believe me, I'm just as confused as you and as Mothma and as Organa. Vel speaks with Cassian, who convinces her of Luthen's integrity. The two toast their fallen comrades while Clea comes to terms with her new role in Yavin. Interrupted while listening to Nemik's Rebel Manifesto, Partagaz commits suicide just as he's about to be arrested. Classic. Interesting that that's the way that Partagaz would go. I'm sure he spent, oodles and oodles of time thinking about it and being like, as soon as it's happening and going down, starts to see, he astro projects and starts to see how the dominoes are going to fall. He's like, let me think. Quick death with the blast to the noodle, or torture, motherfucker. Step your nuts to the dresser. Dedra is in prison in a prison facility similar to Narkina 5 and breaks down crying. Listen, I know she's a bad gal. I know she's an antagonist, and I know but like the fact that she has been able to accomplish what she has and has worked so hard and has been able to navigate what is a very tricky situation, commendable. When Rebel informant associated with Saw repeatedly contacts the Yavin 4 to talk with Cassian, Draven realizes that the evidence for the Death Star is too great to be a trap. I guess that's where I got lost a little bit. Is like, how is the Death Star a trap? Nah, I mean, saying, I feel like, why would a Death Star be a trap for what? I think I got lost in the sauce there. After meeting with Draven and Mothma, Organa agrees to let Cassian and K2SO fly to Kafrene to meet with the informant. Amina Rao, B2 AMO, plays with another droid as Bix cradles a baby and looks wistfully toward the horizon. 9.5 out of 10. Focuses on themes of love, loss, sacrifice, and the struggle against oppression. Core Star Wars ideas delivered with genuine gravitas. The writing and editing exceptional. The realities of the rebellion were balanced with everyday dangers of living under the Empire. The final episodes are especially praised for tension, payoff, and seamless connection to Rogue One, making the transition between the stories feel essential and organic. You know what? And that should have been the move for me, as after finishing season 2, just go right into Rogue One, and I didn't do it. Like a fool. So it's the most critically acclaimed live-action Star Wars series to date, boasting a 99% rating on Rotten Tomatoes, higher than its first season. Many reviewers are calling it the best Star Wars content since The Empire Strikes Back, highlighting mature approach and dramatic depth. Episodes may feel scattered or slow for some viewers as the show juggles multiple storylines and sets the stage for the chaos to come. Some narrative choices feel slightly out of place in the Star Wars universe. Final block of episodes leads more heavily on exposition to set up Rogue One, but is generally seen as a necessary bridge rather than a flaw. Gripping, thoughtful, emotionally satisfying. So it was a lot to wrap your head around and try to figure it all out. So I can't imagine being the one calling the shots amidst all that. Rogue One, another shot. So that was Andor Season 2. So that's it. That's the episode. Thank you for listening. Thank you for watching. And coming up next, my goodness gracious, we have May 2025 to recap and review. We've got in the Metros. My God. This has become, like, you know how Jimmy Kimmel has that bit with Matt Damon where he's like, and my apologies to Matt Damon, we ran out of time. That is what's happening with the Mets. Me thinking I'm going to talk about the Mets. And honestly, I'm at the point now where I feel like maybe I shouldn't talk about the Mets because they're doing really well. And I feel like the moment I do talk about them, that's when the collapse happens. So maybe I should abstain. Can I just say LGM? Great, LGM. All right, that's it. Talk to you next time. Adios, muchachos.